Okay, that was the beginning of the audio that I captured as I cut short in order to capture video. Okay, this is riveting video of UPS, that is the people of the state, providing instrumentalities of federal group stalking and monitoring, threatening American citizens, acting in concert with third party Mercy House, who is monitoring me under the state's fake sun, which is hovering over their property. And this is that which is also mutually exclusive to where I captured it yesterday and where it remained for the entirety of the day. And that is over the senior center, not moving whatsoever, impossible light activity. And that is the same identical conduct while I'm present here. This is, I've already established. I'm speaking to what I documented, as I stated, as I established already, and as I continue to prosecute and demonstrate how the people of the state of California engage in federal group stalking and monitoring and the guises under which they do so, which are legally irrelevant for purposes of their federal prosecution. It is relevant for understanding every aspect of which that shall be revealed as the brand or company or publicly affiliated corporation, whatever guise under which that they are monitoring, that too shall be recognized as that which is used to monitor American citizens. All right, that needs to be known. The City of Ontario engaged in monitoring American citizens under what is a fake sun that they know very well is present, while they maintain presence in the path, collectively maintaining activity in concert with the state that is flying over me repeatedly in planes and helicopters, as I just captured right now, flying at an exceedingly low, hovering over 435 South Bonview, and doing so, understand, no plane activity audible whatsoever. The second that I grab my phone and walk out the door, a plane is suddenly over the property. And so I immediately start my video, okay? That is P.O.C, and that is literally the stalking with activity conduct and doing so in planes, right? That is the pattern of conduct by the people of the state as well. I want to speak to what is license plate 5NCC428, a black Ford Mustang. This would be it's just an indicative time mark with regard to my presence at what is the intersection of BONVIEW and Holt Boulevard. I'm also on the security cameras at Shiro's Liquor, B&G Plaza. I do go inside of what is the Ontario Health Center to use the restroom there. And again, starting at the museum where ongoing monitoring is. That's ceaseless, as I also demonstrated the state flying over me by helicopter, ongoing audible activity, while the psychopath is exceedingly hostile, especially as I speak of what is the prosecution and the federal law to be enforced against it. And so you have what is extra loud train activity all night. You have third-party group stalkers that are engaged in threatening conduct, approaching, standing over me, and while I'm sleeping at the museum. That is the government, by the way, knows exactly that I'm there, acting via the people of the state who are engaged in that threatening conduct, congregating around me, walking around me, and engaging in approaching me while I am at the museum. I want to speak to today, and that's last night what I documented. Today, which, let me be clear, it is Wednesday, February 24, 2021. I am currently at Mercy House, 435 South Bonview, where they are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring under the state's light source, which shall remain at the property for the entirety of the day, in no way the sun whatsoever. This is the behavioral pattern. And this is that which the state engaged in, this hovering light source remaining directly over me as I walk down the street. The people of the state of California engaged in that demonic conduct as they are literally driving by in their cars on both sides of the street, mind you. What you have is that directed light that the state is at the same time aiming onto the asphalt, the sidewalk, the buildings, and my person. This is intentional conduct. This is demonic activity. It is criminal monitoring conduct, all right? And it is also that which is impossible to occur under the actual sun. Which is not remaining over my head as I'm walking east on Holt Boulevard, but it is also that which is not commensurate with the state's presence of its fake sun. The state's placement of its fake sun is a matter of concentrated light activity. They're creating ongoing light activity as they walk past, drive past, as they are engaging in creating shadows. And in addition to the shadows, you have the state which is directing additional light. The state is aiming light, even under its concentrated light, there's more than one light aimed on me. I'm always being molested with light. And the state is engaged in directed light as third parties are driving by in their cars. It literally looks like, if you can recall the comic books from Batman and Robin, like back in the 90s, I'm talking to, I might be aging myself. I'm really not that old, but I do remember Batman and Robin comic books. And if you remember when Batman and Robin were fighting, like if they kick something or if they punch something, you see the picture. It caricaturizes the force that's applied, and it'll be like they'll do a punch, and it's like pow, and you see the big word that says P-O-W, pow, and then you see these lines that are around whatever it is they hit, the person they hit, and it's like that line is letting you know that they were hit really hard, and you see these lines indicating that in the comic book. That is literally what is occurring visually as they are driving by. They're driving by in lines of light, all these shapes of light, like it is a comic book. It is an absolutely demonic environment they're monitoring. It is absolutely unrealistic, entirely unnatural what is occurring. It is because they are monitoring, and it is an ongoing communication of a threat by the people of the state of California. The public entity is a sex offender in this regard. Understand that. It's a repeated unlawful touching, and doing so in concert with the people of the state who are intentionally maintaining presence as they are engaged in what is concerted conduct. They're passing, and this impossible light activity is occurring. This is that which I've already documented and shown. This is another day of what is sexual violence by the people of the state, and that's what I'm documenting. It is a federal group stalking and monitoring is a ceaseless, ongoing sexual offense. I am showing, I am engaging in ongoing documentation serving for that federal prosecution and demonstrating sexual violence from beginning to the end, and that is ongoing touching intentionally, and the people of the state of California getting their fits and giggles as they are literally losing, but insisting on touching while they're monitoring. Okay, understand that's what they have to do. They have to maintain light activity, and in doing so, they are engaging in that sexual violence, repeatedly, unlawfully touching. All right, and Alaska Airlines flying over as I am at the train tracks walking south on BONVIEW. That's the third party engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, providing instrumentality. That's criminal monitoring, that's criminal facilitation. That is criminal threats and harassment, and that is by the people. Understand, Alaska Airlines providing instrumentalities of federal group stalking and monitoring to the state. Representing the state, acting vicariously on behalf of the state. Planes over my head. All right, that is P.O.C, and that is ongoing sexual violence. Also, as third party enters the bathroom at Ontario Health Center, bends down next to my luggage carrier at the same location. It is very precise where she bends down in order to create light activity. She uses the bathroom, she washes her hands, and all of a sudden she just bends down to the ground, not tying her shoes or anything. Not that that will be any change. Understand that tying your shoes is the guise under which you are bending down to create light activity. But I'm letting you know, she's not tying her shoes. She's holding some object, she bends down on the ground, and then she creates light activity, and she's doing so at the precise location. She is next to my luggage carrier, right by the pocket that I had previously just got through digging into in order to throw out trash. All right, they are aware of everything that I'm doing inside of that private space. Understand, because my clothes are on inside of that private space is in no way removing the fact that you are listening to what I'm doing as my clothes are removed, and you are stalking with activity and or light activity as I am in that indisposed state. That's the ongoing indication of what is that corporal violation of privacy. That is sexual assault and battery, touching with light activity in that private space, and doing so inside of that private space. That's P.O.C. That is the people of the state of California. All right, and that is from beginning to end. And while here, all they are doing now is maintaining presence in the path. You will see them on the cameras. They're walking in and out, carrying items. Understand, that's patrolling. The state's fake sun is over their property. They are creating ongoing activity, rolling carts, ongoing conversation, sitting around on the benches, making sure on the inside and on the outside of the building that they are maintaining presence in the path, which is exactly what the vehicles on Washington and on BONVIEW are engaged in, acting in concert as a group to engage in what is ceaseless monitoring. All right, and that is 5NCC428, that black Ford Mustang. That would be seen on the cameras of the Dollar General at the corner of BONVIEW and HOLT Boulevard, and they are engaged in group stalking. Of course, I mean, they represent the people of the state, but what you will see on camera, you'll literally see that Ford Mustang driving out of the parking lot toward BONVIEW, and they are awaiting my, they are doing that as I am walking down the street. They're engaging in crossing a path. They're engaging in what is group stalking. And light activity created on the opposite side of that parking lot with a truck with its hazard lights on facing Emporia. And then I just want to be clear of what you're looking at on the cameras as I am in motion, and understand every third party that's already been documented, and the public entity is a sex offender, period. This is the prosecution of the people that has already been documented to be specifically documented, and it is also allotted to the group. I am interested in identifying individuals in addition to the group itself, which is a part of the same entity. But understand, they are engaged in that same criminal partnership. So the sexual violence that the same entity is engaged in on a ceaseless basis, for example, a third party that I documented in Los Angeles in July of 2020, they are a part of that same criminal violence. That's how that works. It's an ongoing criminal activity that is ceaseless, and it is group conduct wherever the target individual goes. Everything that you continue to document is attributed to everyone that's already been identified, and it is attributed to the entirety of that group. The state itself is a sex offender, and it's engaged in criminal facilitation of that. The target individual is empowered with documenting, name as many as you know, those who you don't know and those who you do know, and document that sexual violence, because that's going toward prosecution. That's going toward any venue where they're engaged in that as well. So understand, while the state is molesting my person with light and third-party group stalkers are on the run in their car, they are a part of the same group. Mercy House is engaged in that sexual violence. Understand that they are hand in hand with the sexual offenders that are speeding past on the street, with the sex offenders who are flying over my head in plane and helicopter. All right, that's P.O.C. And that's the significance of everything that I document. And so it is 9:30 a.m. Understand that this documentation is directly tethered to what I documented yesterday. The people of the state of California acting via City of Ontario. That's what I was honed in on. The guise under which you're monitoring. What you are looking at now, the people of the state of California acting via Mercy House, who engages in, serious, heavy, hardcore monitoring, for which they will be profusely prosecuted for. And that is acting via Mercy House, while the exact same hallmarks, the exact same elements remain. Okay, that is P.O.C. It's 9:31 a.m. And yeah, 9:31 a.m. That's P.O.C. Oh, this is very helpful to Mercy House. The helicopter is flying around in circles. That's how you know what the people of the state are doing. Monitoring via Mercy House. You see them? They're just sitting around a relevant position. They're all monitoring. Eating, sitting at their desk inside, while the fake sun's over the property, helicopter flying in a circle over the property. All right? P.O.C. called audible activity, and he's standing in relevant position. He's not amazed by the helicopter, he's monitoring. (9:38 a.m.) And there's another plane in the sky. Helicopter's hovering, flying in circles, and there's another plane in the sky flying. This is P.O.C. This is 435 South BONVIEW. Federal group stalking and monitoring. This is a threat also. This is attributed to the people. This is attributed to the state. And they're also engaged in sexual violence. Understand, while the state is molesting with light, they're creating audible activity. That concerted creation of activity is sexually violent conduct while you're touching unlawfully, because you're monitoring. And I am referencing the security cameras at 435 South BONVIEW as well. I'm holding up my index finger and putting in a circle that's indicating helicopter. All right? It's currently 9:39 a.m. and that's what I'm doing, P.O.C. So the helicopter is remaining in relevant position after flying in circles directly over BONVIEW. Oh, I'm sorry, directly over 435 South BONVIEW, the Mercy House property, and it's flying in a line. It's literally patrolling back and forth. That's audible activity and relevant positioning under the state's fake sun. That is P.O.C. Group stalkers on foot at the property are monitoring. Group stalkers in relevant position in traffic in nearby businesses on Mission Boulevard. Okay, they're all monitoring. Hiding out over here in the field. I've already shown you video of the police that engage in stalking, hiding around on the opposite side of the train tracks, creating light activity, adding that into the atmosphere. This is federal group stalking and monitoring. So let me be clear, while the state created that generous amount of audible activity via helicopter in an entirely and intentionally threatening manner, after it listens to me document federal group stalking and monitoring at 435 South BONVIEW, and understand they're all listening while they're acting as though they're doing something else, all they're doing is monitoring. Understand 435 South BONVIEW, Mercy House, this is documentation of their threats, of their sexual violence while they're threatening, all right, because they're monitoring. And they're hostile to that documentation of their criminal conduct. That's the legal analysis behind that. Understand that. And it is all occurring under what is monitoring conduct. Every single last one of them. And by the way, that's P.O.C. That's the pattern of conduct. There's sirens under the state's fake sun while they're doing the same thing, just maintaining presence. All right, and now this is what I'm speaking to when I say psychopath. That's what a psychopath is. They're sitting around at Mercy House, just like every other third party. The people that say this is what they do. This is how you maliciously monitor someone. And as though they're doing something else, that is a super weirdo. Okay, there's something wrong in your mind, because what they're doing is federal group stalking and monitoring. This is established, and they are outwardly engaged in what is their role, as though they are doing something else, as though they're concerned with the business of the homeless. All they're doing is monitoring, creating an audible activity. A fake sun is over the property, which they are aware of. Impossible light activity inside of the venue, which they are aware of, opening the door in order to facilitate that, which is reasonably construed as a threat. The target individual documenting this knows that they're being monitored, all right? And everything that you are looking at around you in your environment, while people are continuously surrounding you and creating noise while they're aware of what you're doing on your laptop, what you're doing on your phones, what you're saying, all right? That's an ongoing threat. And that by psychopaths who are intentionally engaging in slamming the microwave door, slamming the door in the hallway, jingling their whatever they have on their person to make noise while they're walking past, opening and closing the door so that the state can aim light inside while the state's fake sun remains over that property, while they're sitting all around you and keeping their communication devices around and on you. That is an entirely threatening and very, I would say, ominous environment. The target individual that is aware that they're being monitored and is documenting is threatened by all of that, all right? So they can fill out paperwork all they want. They can have third parties come in inside and say, oh, I'm hungry, I need somewhere to live, I'm homeless, and they're monitoring. Guess what? They're coming in and seeking those quote-unquote services with simultaneity to what I'm doing on my communication device, engaging in the same behavioral pattern and doing it under the guise of what 435 South BONVIEW is supposed to be doing. They're criminals. They're sex offenders. They're monitoring American citizens and threatening them. That's reasonably construed as a threat. As I just documented the state flying over me in a UPS airplane at hovering elevation, and I explain what is the legal analysis, and then as I step outside to eat my breakfast muffin, a helicopter is flying in a circle over my head while the state's fake sun is, that is all manner of a threat, and that is communicated by the people of the state here at 435 South BONVIEW, Mercy House, and all of these third-party bums, all right, who are engaged in passive-aggressive stalking with the state, looking up at the helicopter, and you're monitoring with that entity. That's a psychopath. That's a weirdo. That's a sicko, all right? And that we're not even, I've already addressed the sicko that's monitoring in helicopters and airplanes. That's a sicko. That's exactly what they do everywhere that I go. This is the connection of, this is what I'm saying, that's an ongoing prefacing connection of what the people of the state of California are engaged in. But that is documentation as to what is sexual violence, period. We're gonna keep it down to the facts, down to the legal analysis. You're creating audible activity and doing so in the incredible method of what is helicopter activity directly over my head that is very targeted in your location, pursuant to an ongoing documented pattern of conduct for a prolonged period of time. All right, so this is under no circumstances coincidence. This is a pattern, and this is at the same property. It is a pattern, and this fake sun is directly over the same location where the state is flying over me in circles in a helicopter. Where, mind you, I just published documentation 24 hours ago, and the state's fake sun is over the senior center even before right now. It's 7:58 a.m. On the 21st, I published a picture. The state's fake sun is over the senior center before 8 a.m. Okay, yesterday, the same documentation published, as I am making an example out of the people of the state of California via the city of Ontario. All right, to be prosecuted as the sex offending group stalking psychopath in commercial vehicles that they are. All right, monitoring, threatening, sexually violating, corporately acting with the government, doing so in commercial vehicles. They are doing the same thing, Mercy House, inside of this property, and under their guise of providing services to those who are in need. They're monitoring American citizens. They are psychopaths. They're listening to every word I'm saying right now, not because I'm sitting on a bench outside, but because they're monitoring. They're aware of everything I do, including inside of that bathroom. All right, they're including of the bodily function. They're of inside of my body. That's how closely they're hovering and listening. They're listening when I'm listening, looking in a different direction. They're paying attention and monitoring and engaging in the behavioral pattern as I turn on any communication device or turn off a communication device, as I'm Bluetoothing information between my phones. They're engaged in monitoring, and they're psychopaths. And that threat that you just witnessed is going toward Mercy House specifically, going toward the people of the state. All right, you don't get to threaten the target individual and sexually violate them while you're monitoring and group stalking them. Yes, Mercy House is stalking while they are at their job because the state is present through their presence. They're engaging in the behavioral pattern on behalf of that entity. That's Gail. That's Vanessa. That is Lauren. That is the other dark-haired one. She's got on blue jeans. She's got long dark hair, and I can never remember her name. It's very forgettable, but she's a group stalker, and they're all in there. The volunteers sitting at the front desk with the blonde hair, maintaining presence as I'm walking into the property. All of these third-party homeless people, they're group stalking. You would think they have something more important to do. You're homeless. What? But this is the state that is engaged in systematic monitoring, and it is a demonic system, by the way, and it is entirely demented. It's 9:47 a.m. I don't ask me what a bum gets in return from the state for monitoring another American citizen. You are ostensibly homeless, so I don't. It was the same thing when I was in jail. You're monitoring me in jail, but you're in jail. What are you getting out of it? I do not. And this is what I'm saying. It is beyond the criminal conduct. This is rooted in that which is satanic. All right. This is of demonic inspiration. This targeting certain people. It's based on without getting esoteric, I'm not going to go deep into that, but it's based on what is a profound animosity that is based on what is demonic. All right. And I'll leave it at that, and that's group conduct. But like I said, irrespective of the fact that this is demonic conduct, it's criminal activity, and it is unprecedented criminal activity, in no way impervious whatsoever to being prosecuted and exposed as such in a federal court of law and under federal legislation. It is 9:48 a.m., and that's another good, healthy dose of prosecution going toward the people of the state. The state's fake son, yet again, compromising the state itself, flying over in helicopter. Yeah, that's P.O.C. 9:49 a.m. Oh, excuse me. I named the third-party group stalkers at this third-party facilitating venue of Mercy House. Let me be clear. Judy, she is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, okay? Just want to make sure I include her. She is heavily engaged in the very same exact criminal activity and criminal facilitation, sexual violence, and criminal threats. All right? That is P.O.C. flying directly over the hood of the door at 435 South BONVIEW. And that is, who is that? Yeah, that's Vanessa, third party. She's crossing path behind me as I'm standing outside to capture a picture of it. The state's fake sun is remaining directly over the top of this property. It's currently 11:13 a.m. And so you've got Judy just walking around, jingling her keys as she enters in, coming into work. Guess what? A plane is flying over. She's monitoring. Impossible light activity remains present in the same position for hours. Understand the state's position of it. I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture of this. The state's position of its fake sun over the venue. Where you have what is, it's present since 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm isolating it to 45 South BONVIEW, so let's say that first of all. You have what was the tree trimmers present before 8 o'clock in the morning, and you see where the state's fake sun is clearly present. Oops, excuse me. That is Vanessa, P.O.C. And what you have is the remaining presence. You have it literally in the middle of the buildings, in the center of the property, directly over the center. And understand, as I walk toward the bathroom or as I walk to the opposite side, the state's fake sun, the state is moving it across the property, remaining over the property, but moving to the left or moving to the right as I move. And so we want to be clear of that. But where it is right now, as I exit and the state's flying directly over with simultaneity to my activity on a communication device, which it has been doing the entire time. Understand, as I captured that video this morning as I arrived here, and the state is hovering in a UPS plane, and then engaging in circling above in a helicopter. The state's been engaged in that ongoing flight activity. They're just sitting inside on camera, all of them in relevant position inside of the office of 435. They're psychopaths that are all monitoring, right? And doing so seamlessly. As I engage in any activity like Vanessa just did, that was a new activity. As I get up from my seat, as I'm using my communication device, she's crossing path. The state's fake sun is directly over my exact stance at the property. She is creating light activity. She is engaging in relevant positioning, and she is intentionally doing so. It is not a coincidence that she does so as I engage in movement. All right, that's the group stalking conduct. As I'm sitting inside on the couch and the state is repeatedly flying over, which is audible activity, using the train as a means of audible activity, and the third parties themselves at the property, including the employees, Judy specifically coming in, acting in concert with the state that's flying over the building as she's walking in, as she's walking around, closing doors, moving around, engaged in conversation. She's creating audible activity, walking around and jingling her keys with simultaneity to my activity on a communication device while the state is flying over the building repeatedly. That's federal group stalking and monitoring. Judy is the one with the short, shoulder-length red hair. She's engaged in the same monitoring conduct as I've stated. Right now, what you hear is traffic. They're patrolling on BONVIEW. That's all they're doing. They're patrolling, and just like inside, that's what they're doing, is patrolling. It is 11:16 a.m. and this is just speaking to that which I've already established. I already have more than 68 videos about federal group stalking and monitoring as they are monitoring me at 435 South BONVIEW Mercy House. This is speaking to the guise under which the people of the state monitor systematically. The malicious conduct engaged in that, the demonic activity, because that's what it is, and it is entirely demented. While they are engaged in nothing, absolutely nothing, but methods of monitoring you. Okay, a method of monitoring, and monitoring are the three criminal elements. So understand, being monitored at Mercy House, 435 South BONVIEW, is nothing but a method of federal group stalking and monitoring. They're monitoring under the relevant facts and circumstances that you would assume apply when you are working or seeking assistance, if you will, whatever, in quotation marks, for homeless services. All right, and so you do whatever it is that you do there, and while you're doing it, you're stalking with activity, you're stalking in relevant position, you are engaging in light activity, and intentionally so. You are under the state's concentrated light source that it places over your venue. What I captured in pictures is the placement of the state's fake sun at 11 o'clock a.m. If that was actually the sun that I captured, where the Mercy House acting with the tree trimmers that I documented, where they're monitoring me, and you have it over the same, I mean, within 10 feet from the dumpster to the building that's in the center of the property within the gates. That's 3 hours and it's not gone anywhere. This is just an example of what is stalking with light, and directly incriminating every single last one of them that are sitting inside, listening to me right now, walking all around like the monitoring minions that they are. All they're doing is monitoring under the state's fake sun. Okay, and understand that's just 435 South BONVIEW that I'm isolating. They're monitoring on the businesses across the street. They're all in relevant position. They're monitoring on Mission Boulevard. They're in relevant position. They are monitoring on the outskirts around, and of course the state remains via aircraft, creating substantial audible activity for that monitoring under its fake sun, creating substantial light activity for that massive monitoring. Understand with regard to the state's tactics and its use of stalking light. This is the last thing, because I have already shown what Mercy House is engaged in, and like I said, 70 videos published already as to what is federal group stalking and monitoring in violation of 2261A, subsections A, 1, and 2. What I am speaking to with regard to the fake sun, its position, understand this is the same relative position as I'm sitting, for example, under the side of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. The state literally begins wherever I am located. So you have it moving what is from the museum where I am in order to remain directly over me. And then as I go from the museum to B&G Plaza to, well, the museum, the Ontario Health Center to B&G Plaza to the library, the side of the library, which is not open, and so I'm capturing images of it as it remains directly over me as I walk. And from the museum to the, ultimately, this side of the library where it is shaded, there is a structure there. The state is engaged in this same relative location to where it is here at 435 South Bonview. And you have what is remaining for the entirety of my stay at that location. And I want to be clear, this is clearly physically over the building, and understand the state stalking via aircraft is also probative of that same stalking with light. This is not an ongoing coincidence. Those are hallmarks, and they are occurring together because you are looking at what is monitoring, all right? The means of monitoring. And the state's fake sun is not over what is the senior center, all right, at 8 o'clock in the morning. It is here, as I've captured at the same time here, 435 South Bonview, where tree trimmers are hanging in the sky, creating a lot of noise under the fake sun, which is here at the same time, and that is not possible, all right? You are not looking at a low hovering light source centered over your head while you are standing what is an entirely different address location, vast enough such that you are not going to have what is supposed to be the sun directly over your head. This is what is speaking to psychopaths who are monitoring. And engaging in what is the absence of anything normal whatsoever. So this is the identification of the people of the state of California by address, by identification of the association that they are. This is criminal conduct committed by that which is Mercy House, all right, monitoring American citizens, which is what I represent, acting in concert with the state and acting through those who I'm speaking to. They're doing it on their cameras, which is that which is also to be directly used as a means of federal prosecution against them in court, speaking as to proof of their presence while they're on the job at work, volunteering and monitoring American citizens, or getting paid to be here and monitoring American citizens, because that's what they're doing. And it is also inherently sexually violent conduct. While the state is molesting with its light source, while the state is molesting with what its directed light, and directed light is that which is unnaturally occurring. It is engineered light. This is the light that the state molests with as third parties maintain presence in the path. The state is directing that under the walkway. The state is directing that inside of the venue of Mercy House. The state is engaging in that ongoing presence of light all around the surfaces. And this is the exact same conduct. So you're looking at what is the behavioral pattern. What is the template? The state's light source remaining relevant to my physical location inside of the building. This is the exact same conduct the state was engaged in that I documented yesterday. And I've already published and documented and established. You're looking at why did the state keep its fake sun directly over the senior center and literally moved in a line, which is supposed to be some migration west. It's absolutely ridiculous. Remaining over the senior center, remaining in between, and then also remember, as I am moving at any given time, it's moving, and then going back to wherever I am, and then continuing. So it starts where I am. All right, and then engaging in literally setting where I am. This is that same conduct remaining literally within the gates of this property, and this is remaining over the property for hours, which I've already established what 435 South Bonview was engaged in. I'm showing there is no distinction whatsoever between where I am at. That's my point. The state keeping its fake sun over this property within the gates, literally engaging in what is supposed to be west movement, and it's not going anywhere. It is aiming light in the same exact locations. And again, a fake sun is just merely the guise under which the state is aiming light all over the place, acting in concert with the people of the state who surround you everywhere, while the state is also stalking via aircraft. All right, and as you hear, police, fire, and ambulance, and using any other means of audible activity under its fake sun, which is the train, all right, all of which is also amplified. And this is what is denoting psychopaths, engaging in entirely abnormal conduct, seeking to appear abnormal. That's what demonic activity is about, by the way. And it is also that which is criminal and concerted cooperative activity. So I just want to make sure it's 11:23 p.m. and that is the state flying over with ongoing knowledge of what I'm doing with simultaneity, that same conduct practiced by them while they're sitting at the desk on a laptop. Understand that's a communication device in relevant position and possible light activities surrounding the state's fake sun above. That's federal prosecution just by looking on the camera, all right? But I am here, and this is that which is criminally facilitating monitoring corporately, all right, facilitating the ability of the public entity to monitor you and the people of the state that are surrounding, all of them listening in real time, together, like psychopaths, in the same manner that they are in the bathroom. All right, and I also want to be clear too, the state's fake sun, which is directly over this location, which is, okay, let me be specific, directly over the top of the building, yet what you have is light that is appearing onto the inside of the doorway that is open, which is impossible light activity. That's the state directing light. Where a light is above the structure, you're not having light that is bending such that it is bending underneath, for example, the Ontario OVITT Family Community structure, the shaded area, or underneath the shaded area beside the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. That's what those structures are built for. The state positions its light such that it is supposed to appear as though this is naturally occurring light, and it's not. Even that is that which is in conflict with common sense, all right? The state is directing light into the doorway, onto the floor. The state is keeping its light source directly above this property, and even as you go to the bathroom, which is on the opposite side of where the state's fake sun is, the state is aiming light, and this is how you know what is inside of the doorway. The state is aiming light in multiple directions. This is why on that bathroom door where the state's fake sun is on the opposite side of the building, my shadow is appearing on that door, which is in the shade. And I put shade in quotation marks because the state is always molesting with light. Understand, as the state molests with light, the state includes the people of the state. Mercy houses a sex offender, molesting and monitoring in concert with the state that's aiming that light, which they are aware of because they're monitoring me to that, all right? It's all serving that criminal purpose. But I just want to be clear, this is that which I've already shown. I've shown you video of what was my shadow appearing in the shade as the fake sun that I captured moments before I walked to the bathroom. I did that deliberately. Fake sun on the opposite side, not even occurring in conformity to the state's placement of its light source, which remained over the property for the entirety of the day, which is mutually exclusive and impossible to coexist with it being, for example, in Azusa, California, in Los Angeles County at 2:12 in the afternoon in the same exact position over my head. All right, that is called P.O.C. This is Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring. Over 70 videos already establishing what Mercy House is engaged in, and it is the same. All right, it is indiscriminate, and that is every single last one that I've named, including and especially Judy. It's 11:26 a.m. What's P.O.C.? All right, so as I stated, it's 11:40 a.m. and on camera, Judy, who is, I believe, quote unquote running this joint. This is a criminal establishment engaged in monitoring on behalf of a government. That's what 435 South BONVIEW is engaged in, on camera leaving, or at least this is what she's communicating, and that's all the activity. What I stated earlier in the video, on my podcast, is the state's fake sun that was directly over my head as I'm standing in front of the door, and as I move, as I've already established as a pattern of conduct, the state's fake sun is directly over me while I'm standing on the facing the bathroom door. And I just want to be clear, that is entirely impossible as I am facing south and the bathroom is behind me. Now I am facing the bathroom and the fake sun is directly above my head. I just want to point this out. This is the state that is stalking by aircraft, listening to me document its criminal activity in direct alignment. In the office is Tyler, Vanessa. They're all monitoring. It's P.O.C. All right, what I just captured in my video is just amazing how entirely idiotic this entity is, acting both directly and vicariously. What you're going to see is the real-time movement of the state's fake sun, as all of these psychopaths are sitting around as though they're normal and they're not doing anything, and it's entirely incriminating them. Not only is the fake sun in a different and impossible location, if it was over the bathroom, as I captured it standing at the bathroom, which is behind the front door, and clearly distinct from its location over my head as I'm standing in front of the front door. You have me standing what is beside the bathroom, which is, again, like I'm saying, that's directly behind the bathroom. Entirely different directions, basically, is what I'm stating. That is the ongoing documentation. What I showed is that, understand, every video of the 70 videos that I've already published with regard to the criminal conduct of this venue, that represents what the people of the state of California are engaged in corporately everywhere. The state's fake sun has been captured under, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'll just keep the facts together. It is just, I mean, blatant asininity. That's what I am trying to get past. But anyway, what you have is the state's fake sun. Understand, at 8 a.m. I've captured it, for example, in alignment to me as I'm at the laundry room. As I sit on the bench, it is directly over my head there, on the side of the building. Understand, this has been hours later. If you pay attention to this property, and that is directly in conflict with anything that's occurring with the sun. Even if the sun was physically present over this property, it's not remaining over 435 South Bonview, which is not the center of the universe, but it is when you're monitoring. That's why the light source is here, but I'm just pointing out which is that. It is just defies common sense. Not only that, what you have is the state's fake sun that is kept in the same position in front of the door. I've shown this in video. As I sit inside, it remains relative to me, just like it does when I'm sitting out, for example, at this side of the Ontario Family Community Library. The state's fake sun remains in a line over the senior center, remaining over 280 North Lemon Apartments, just sitting there all day. All right, and then engaging in what is setting while it's aiming light on the exact same location. But what you have is the position of the state's light source, which is behind where it was over the front door as the state was flying over, at which I captured on my podcast and in pictures. And this is that which is not coexisting. I clearly captured the plane that flew over in the same position, did not move. Understand, where the state is flying over and it is captured in that same location, the state was not flying over the bathroom. That this is entirely distinct and different positioning of the light source. And this is blatant, just clear movement of a light source in the sky while they are all monitoring. And as I point that out, which the state is listening to, this is why you have what is third-party group stalker, sex offender, and psychopath who walks past me in the parking lot, whose license plate I recited, who is engaged in criminally threatening and while she's monitoring my documentation of her criminal conduct, and the state flies directly over my head at the property. All right, that's not a coincidence either. All right, and by the way, if the state was flying over the bathroom, where the fake sun was not, then I would have been facing the bathroom. The reason why I pointed my camera up, because the state was flying directly over the roof where the front door is open. And as the state has flown over it, I turn on camera and I capture images of that. And I point the camera straight up, and you're seeing what is the light source, straight up. Not even facing the bathroom, which is entirely behind the front door. All right, so this is just a common sense breakdown of what is blatant evidence of a moving light source. And this is that which is combined with what is speaking to the existence of a system, the identification of a third party, and that which is entirely intentional presence under such circumstances, while also simultaneously and intentionally communicating criminal threats while you're engaged in unprecedented criminal activity in concert and on behalf of the government. It is 11:48 a.m. and that is what I captured on video. You get a clear, vivid image of that criminal engaged in that conduct, and understand what a criminal looks like. Everything that you assume about what normalcy is shattered, and it is legally irrelevant under federal prosecution. Legally irrelevant. Everything about this is abnormal. Everything about the environment, by the way, is directly incriminating and serving prosecution. They literally have no words to speak at federal prosecution because elements control. There is absolutely no legal defense where an entity is monitoring, an entity is monitoring via the people, and there is absolutely no claim whatsoever. And so I just want to make sure that I articulate what is the significance and I have, like I said, over the 70 videos that I've published, the state's fake sun has remained in that line facing that gate where the train runs for monitoring purposes. This is the state moving its fake sun as I walk toward the walk out of the lot, walk out of the gates and walk onto Washington Street, searching for a third-party license plate. The state's fake sun is directly over me at that gate entrance. I want to be clear. This is where it was where I appeared this morning when I arrived at around 9:13 in the morning. Understand this time at 11:49, the state's fake sun captured in an entirely different position, facing an entirely different direction, all right? The state is failing at acting as though that is the sun, but the state has also abysmally failed at maintaining consistency with where it places its fake sun. And you know why? Because it's stalking with light. All right, and when you're stalking, you're not the leader, you're the follower. And that it's following necessarily where I go, and this is how you are capturing what is entirely inconsistent, what is impossible to coexist, and that which is evidence of what is federal group stalking and monitoring. And while psychopaths surround, engaging in nothing but monitoring conduct. It's 11:50 a.m. and that is P.O.C. Here's just another common sense note. The reason why I point these things out is just think about it because it's food for thought. This is already established. This is serving the purpose of literally a tutorial on how to document, on how to prosecute, on how to expose sickos. And this is also, I just want to be clear, if the sun was over the bathroom, as it clearly was, where I was standing, behind, which is in the opposite direction of the front door where it was clearly above my head moments earlier, you have sunlight that is beaming underneath the structure of the door inside onto the floor, which is also not going to occur where you have a light that's above the building. It's not bending underneath and aiming into the doorway. But what I want to point out is if the sun is on that side of the building, you're not going to have light that is spreading across into the doorway. It's not funny as in a joke, it's funny as in pathetic, and it's funny as in no argument whatsoever at federal prosecution. These are the tactics and the asinine tactics they are, but it is that of unprecedented criminal conduct, waging a credible threat to the life, physical safety, and overall well-being of the target individual, especially the one that is documenting the fact that they're monitoring everything that the state engages in. Even that asininity that is probative of its criminal conduct is entirely a threat because it's a government that's engaging in that for that criminal purpose, all right? That is for the demise of that targeted individual. This is the beauty of documentation. And so the audible activity that they're monitoring me to right now is that which is going to be presented against them in federal court. So my response is hashtag monitor that. It's 11:52 a.m. That's P.O.C. All right, it is currently 1:49 p.m. I want to go back about 25 minutes ago. I was at what is a third-party facilitating venue, Mercy House, and again, the hallmarks remain as you've already seen in the videos that I published today, and that would have already shown. The state's light source remains squarely over that property, and the state engages in real-time movement of that light source, which is not the sun, as it is hovering over as I move inside of the gates of the property itself. And that's, again, what I showed today this morning. And again, if you look at the pictures that I published of the third-party group stalker that's wearing like a cowboy little farm hat while he's looking up at the helicopter in amazement. What he's actually doing, like I stated on the podcast in real time, he's standing in relevant position under the state's light source while the state is creating audible activity. He's monitoring. The state is engaged in monitoring and facilitating his ability to monitor me. He's not amazed whatsoever by the helicopter. That is ongoing pattern. That is ongoing POC, and it is directly connected, tethered to. It is the same group conduct. What you're also going to see in that picture is the absence of the sun. The sun is not in that position over there. That's not the sun, but I'm just letting you know. You can see that is the literal same position on the opposite side where I'm standing, where I point the camera up and you see the state's fake sun directly above me as I am standing what is beside the bathroom door. And the state's fake sun is in a clearly different location. So what you are seeing is how the state keeps its fake sun directly over me. all right, as I am moving at the property. In addition to that, the documentation that I've already published, you are looking at what the state has engaged in routinely, which is keeping its fake sun aligned to the back of the property, aligned to the railroad tracks, which they also use for audible activity, but it stays aligned to that. As I've shown in the video, when I first published what was real-time movement of the state's fake sun, while third-party group stalker Yaya and third-party group stalker Tyler were the ones working on a Saturday, and the state's fake sun, as I captured it, moving from one side of the building with the bench where I sit in the shade to the other side, and I showed how I walked, and you literally saw the light source moving because I pointed it out how it was on one side of the pole while I'm standing in the same position, and at that same position and it's on the opposite side of the pole. I pointed all of this out in the podcast and in video, and that's real-time movement. This position is where the state has kept its fake sun, engaging in that same ridiculous conduct of starting where I am, wherever I am, that's where it is, centered over me, and then engaging in remaining all day long via negligible movement, what is supposed to be west. And this is the state stalking with light. And so I just want to be clear, what you are capturing, what I captured and what I spoke to on the podcast as I'm in an entirely different location, which is not the same if the sun is over my head as I'm standing directly in front of the door, and it is clearly seen as I am not even facing the bathroom's direction. In the picture, you see the state's fake sun, and you see the roof with the lines through the roof, the wooded roof above the venue of Mercy House. And what you have is, I'm not even facing the direction of the bathroom. That's another picture you are comparing and seeing what the state is doing. Mind you, while it is engaging in this same targeted conduct, okay? That's federal group stalking and monitoring. That is also probative of the same stalking conduct. I'm speaking to what is stalking with light. I have already established what the state is engaging in stalking via aircraft, directly probative of the exact same examples. And this is speaking to the guise under which federal group stalking and monitoring is occurring, right? The state's pattern of conduct of monitoring is already established. The public entity that is monitoring you is doing so via the people. The people act under the guise of any form, all right? And form is legally irrelevant, and I'm showing you that. City of Ontario engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring under all the same facts. They just have what is the emblem of that municipality on City of Ontario, while, mind you, they will be prosecuted for that criminal conduct of an unprecedented level, all right? And also waging a threat. While the psychopaths are monitoring, they are inherently aware of what you're documenting. This is the psychopath that's touching you, stalking you, and threatening you. That's what Ontario OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in right now. Crossing path inside of the library, nearest the stations, the computer stations, the desktop stations in between the area of the magazines, crossing path at the same time that the state is flying over my head. Understand that male, he's a tall male with a buzzed haircut on the sides and dark hair on the top, he's monitoring while he's walking past on the security cameras. As you are listening to the plane walk by, on the surveillance cameras inside of there. And this is how you're going to document and prosecute the entirety of that entity. That's 1:52 p.m. You heard it. Right? This is the same thing the state was doing to me over at Mercy House, okay? And this is that same targeted conduct. Understand the state is focusing its placement of its light source, focusing its stalking via aircraft, and engaging in concerted conduct with the people of the state, acting via a library, acting via the city of whatever city you're in. This is City of Ontario engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. When I was in Azusa, that city was engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's an ongoing, ceaseless system. I'm speaking to what is ongoing documentation and the ever-present elements and those hallmarks, which is the absolute removal of coincidence. You are looking at the system, the strip down of what is the public entity's monitoring of an American citizen, and doing so through the people of the state, whatever their title is. Okay. What I also want to speak to is the fact of the states remaining, and so that's what you're looking at when you're comparing it. It's clear. It is clear, and all my documentation is all established that which is the same. I'm just showing you point after point after point. It is irrefutable. It's insurmountable. This is stalking with light. Let me be clear. The state's fake sun remaining over that property the entirety of the time, and like I said about 30 minutes earlier, where I remained, that's where the state's fake sun remained. And as I am now at Ontario OVITT Family Library, as I just recited, P.O.C, as they're monitoring inside of the library. While I am sitting outside of the library, understand that's relevant positioning. The same conduct while you're in the bathroom. The immediate environment includes inside of the bathroom, outside of the bathroom, inside of that building, wherever that bathroom is located, and outside of that building, wherever that bathroom is located. This is all in relevant position. And the state is in relevant position via aircraft, all of the group stalkers in their vehicles, directly and vicariously. That's the state stalking in fire, ambulance, and police vehicles. The state is acting vicariously via the people all in their vehicles, all of them acting together to maintain light activity while they're monitoring you inside of that private space, while the state is aiming its fake sun, which is directed light, onto that immediate environment. This is sexual violence by the entity acting collectively. That is sexually perverted conduct, all right? Aware in real time of what you're doing as you're undressed, as you are engaging in necessarily touching yourself when you are using the bathroom, and creating audible activity, visible, any light activity, that's perverted, all right? And that's what the entity is engaged in. That's what the people of the state of California are engaged in. That's what any third-party group stalker whose name the target individual may happen to know is engaged in, all right? That's a psychopath, all right? And that's attributed to the group. The state's fake sun remained over 435 South Bonview. As I am here, like I stated, at the library, the state has maintained its same location over what is directly the side of the same location where I am sitting, okay? Mutually exclusive. Direct, again, incriminating evidence, that which is not possibly occurring whatsoever, remaining for hours at that location, and now present remaining for hours as it was yesterday because I was here. But again, this is the state's fake sun that is remaining over me. That's why you're seeing in the pictures while I'm on the opposite side of the property at 435 South Bonview, no sun over there, okay? When I walk over there, which is impossible to occur, that is not the sun that is moving over the property, moving north and south and east and west. That is not. And the sun is not remaining squarely over your head as you are moving about in the property, over that property. This is a low hovering light source, and it's literally moving above. And this is why you don't see it when I'm facing what is the exact same location that I captured it later in the day after capturing it directly over my head standing in front of the door. Okay, that is not the same. I'm not able to capture that precise vantage point in that picture if that was actually the sun. That's both over, it's directly over my head while I'm standing at the bathroom and directly over my head while I am standing in front of the door. That is necessary movement, and the directions that I'm facing, the vantage points that I'm capturing are showing you that. The directions are showing you that it is mutually exclusive, all right? And I've already shown you this. Literally, as I'm walking in a parking lot, you capture the state's fake sun over the B&G Plaza sign, that's purpose. That's purposeful, so you can see where it is directly over. And I walk away from that location toward the opposite side of that parking lot, Andy's Burgers. Where's the sun at? It's not over B&G Plaza, all right? I'm not turning my body toward that direction where this is supposedly the sun. All right, this is the sun moving very rapidly in seconds, okay? That is not the sun. This would maintain relatively the same position as the sun is engaged in ongoing constant movement around the earth, by the way. At least that's what we're taught, okay? This is not only that which is a hovering light source. If that was actually the sun, it will be doing very, very, very serious damage. And understand the state stalking with light is doing damage as well. That's a whole other aspect with regard to the ongoing molestation by person besides the sexual aspect. It's an ongoing assault and battery of harm to your person. But the actual sun is not this hovering light source directly over your head, which would literally burn us all up, okay? This is not the sun in any way whatsoever, let alone the asininity that I'm pointing out, literally as it's moving from north and south over the same fence. And after I've captured what is about 68 videos, most of them showing you how the state is stalking with light, and using that as a comparison to every other place where the states remained all for the entirety of any day and for the entirety of any stay. For example, the state's fake sun remaining over 435 South Bonview, in the places where it is clearly captured, is mutually exclusive to remaining as it has squarely over apartment number 51 at Woodside Senior Apartments, where it remained for the entirety of the day. You see Ontario police engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring as I documented at that venue. Okay, Ontario Police Officer Sequoia, she's a group stalker, she's a sex offender. The state's fake sun is directly over where they are standing, and you can see this by the light activity on the ground while they're stalking and harassing and threatening, knocking on the door, having no probable cause, having no reasonable suspicion. It is nothing but criminal summoning by the third-party group stalkers who are hostile to being documented. That's what that was. That was P.O.C. And you're seeing what is the state's fake sun directly over that apartment building. And that was 9 something in the morning. I'm speaking to what occurred in July, I want to say July 3rd, 2020, where I documented P.O.C. inside of that apartment at Woodside Senior. That is not occurring, coexisting at all with the state's remaining with its fake sun over 435 South Bond. And that's just one example. All right, like I said, it is all cumulative evidence. This is inevitable prosecution. So Miss Judy crossing path, creating visible and audible activity, all right, as she is creating what is moving past me under the state's fake sun, which is in a clearly different position. That is directly pointing to what Miss Judy is maliciously and intentionally engaged in, while the psychopath sex offending group stalker is aware of every word that I've uttered about her criminal activity. And the state flying over my head while she is walking in on the job is the same criminal act that she engaged in on my camera, which I am publishing on the internet as to the ongoing criminal conduct of the people of the state acting via Mercy House at 435 South Bonview. And it is also the absence of coincidence and the same criminal conduct that she engages in walking past me, which is crossing path under the state's fake sun in a distinctly different location, while the state is, mind you, flying directly over my head in a different location as well. This is what you're looking at. You're not just looking at the fake sun, you're looking at where the state is targeting its conduct with its stalking via aircraft. The UPS plane flies directly over the front door, over me, as I am walking out, anticipating my doing so, as it is aware that I've turned on my cell phone. This is what I pointed out on my podcast and in the video. The plane was already there at a very exceedingly low elevation. Understand, this is entirely threatening and very weird conduct, while they're all just sitting around in relevant positions, stalking under the fake sun. The state's fake sun present over my head, the UPS plane over my head. The plane that flies over while Judy is walking past me is not flying over the front door. It's flying directly over where I'm standing under the fake sun, which is also not over the front door. It's where I am standing, okay? That is the prosecution of Miss Judy, all right? Engaging criminal activity in plain sight, serving for her federal prosecution as a sex offender, a very violent, threatening sex offender, engaging in that which the people of the state of California routinely engaged in. And this is based on the criminal conduct. This is the strip down of every guise under which they're monitoring American citizens. And they is inclusive of the public entity acting directly and vicariously via the people. What you're also going to see on the security cameras at 435 South Bonview is not only the remaining presence of what is all impossible light activity while group stalkers are surrounding inside and outside of the venue. You will see he's about 5'5", 5'6". He's an African male, heavy, dark facial hair. He's got on red and gold shoes. He is seen standing what is next to the pole inside of the property of the 435 South Bonview. He's an African American male. He is standing in alignment to me outside of the building where I am sitting on the couch inside. Tracy Banks, third-party group stalker, comes inside, and understand they're entering in pursuant to P.O.C. So it's not just the fact that she's in relevant position. She waits until the moment for purposes of what is stalking with presence and stalking with activity. She is engaging in P.O.C. as she walks in the door, acting in concert with the third-party group stalkers who are speaking, creating audible activity, impossible light activity on the ground, the state's fake sun over the property, the state flying repeatedly over the property via aircraft, all right? This is Tracy Banks entering into the doorway. You'll see this on camera. And she does so with simultaneity to what I am doing on my communication devices. That's a behavioral pattern. That not only being present already, that's what stalkers do. That's what group stalkers do. They're already present, and they engage in waiting for that opportune time whereby they are using their presence for purposes of monitoring, okay? That's what group stalkers are doing while I'm sitting on the side of the library, while I'm in the grocery store, while I am walking down the street. They are not engaging in driving down the street. They are intentionally crossing path as the state is creating what is attuned to Batman and Robin cartoon-like conduct, where light activity is strewing out in lines across the asphalt and the sidewalk, my person, and the buildings that I'm standing next to. It is absolutely ridiculous. But understand, this is a demonic environment. That's demonic, all right? Obviously, you see, I have no fear to that. I am going to prosecute it and expose it. That's what I'm going to do. All right, but I represent and advocate on behalf of the ordinary target individual who, by the way, under federal law, based on the actor and the vicarious conduct through whom that actor is monitoring, has every reason to be absolutely terrified and traumatized and terrorized by a public entity's monitoring conduct, okay? That entire environment that I am describing is entirely threatening, all right? It is unheard of, okay? It is entirely abnormal. All right, and it is not a comic book whatsoever. It's real life, and it's very real, unprecedented criminal conduct that also is inherently sexually violent. So my point is, with regard to the third-party group stalkers standing in alignment, acting with Tracy Banks, who enters into 435 South BONVIEW doorway and does so pursuant to P.O.C. She stands in front of me, and the third-party group stalker, who is not a friend of mine, like all of them who I shall name. I'm going to get to that point. This particular one is an African-American male. He's seen on camera. He's standing in relevant position. He is under the state's light source. He is acting in concert. He represents the people of the state, engaged in malicious conduct and acting in concert with Tracy Banks and every other third party on the grounds of 435 South BONVIEW. His name is Royal Malik Wilcox, no friend of mine, engaged in what is kidnapping. And how so? Because he was monitoring me while and acting in concert and on behalf of that entity while I was subject to the criminal threat by the state of a fictitious prosecution, which is a criminal act of obstruction of justice by the public entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and seeking to silence and oppress that targeted individual. Okay, so while this fictitious prosecution is underway, Royal Malik Wilcox is engaging in associating with Tracy Banks, because I do not associate and have not associated with Royal Malik Wilcox of my own volition since March of 2018, when I became aware of very peculiar conduct of those whom I used to associate with. This is why I moved out of my home on June 1st, 2018, with whom I used to share with Tracy Banks. All right, presenting a threat. I stopped talking to Royal Malik Wilcox. He was monitoring me for years, has never been my friend, and was monitoring me while I was subject to that fictitious prosecution and maintaining presence under the guise of being there to support. All of it is the commission of criminal conduct. Understand that, directly and vicariously, okay? You are engaged in kidnapping when you are acting in concert with that criminal entity that is monitoring. Engaging in any criminal conduct related to that criminal system is engaging in those criminal acts. He arrives today and is on the cameras of the third-party facilitating venue, 435 South BONVIEW, and standing in a direct alignment behind me outside of the building, just like inside of Ontario OVITT Family Library. They're inside of the building in relevant position, engaging in that conduct while the state is stalking, while the state is remaining with its light source. All right, that's what Royal Malik Wilcox is doing, and this is today. This is what he has been doing for years, unbeknownst to me. All right, this is what the targeted individual is subject to while you are unaware of it. I am showing you what are the elements, what are the hallmarks for that target individual who likely has no idea that they are being monitored by the government, because upon becoming aware of it, the state engages in honing in on and becoming increasingly aggressive. This is why you have what are airplanes engaged in blatant stalking, arriving literally out of nowhere, helicopters flying over your head everywhere that you go, day and night, engaging in blatant stalking, ubiquitous presence of the police, maintaining the same group presence in and around your path, acting in concert with the people of the state. That is that which has been underway for years. And Royal Malik Wilcox, again, engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That is evidence of the fact that he's not genuinely my friend, but also even before recognizing what is a P.O.C., before recognizing what was the fact that I was subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, recognizing that Royal Malik Wilcox is not my friend, and I've stopped immediately speaking to him. All of a sudden, he is best friends with Tracy Banks, who was a third-party group stalker whose name I know, all right? Monitoring under the guise of a very poorly, if you want to call that a mother, okay, but that's not a mother whatsoever, and all the quote-unquote help that she engages in assisting, it's while P.O.C. is underway. This is concerted conduct amongst those third-party group stalkers who are insiders. And what is the insider? One whose name you happen to know, engaging in the same identical behavioral pattern, acting in concert with the same unified group. That is the people of the state, acting vicariously on behalf of the state that is monitoring, the public entity. And he will be seen on the cameras under all the same facts, under all the same hallmarks, monitoring me. I do leave that property where the state's fake son remained for that entirety. And again, my documentation already shows where I remain there at that property, the state's fake son doesn't go anywhere. So this is already established. State's fake son is present there. I am on camera leaving. State's fake son is here where I am. As you've already shown, just as late as yesterday, state's fake sun does not go anywhere when I stay here, and that's exactly what the state did yesterday, remaining over literally the senior center, going back and forth as I walk to and from what is the, to Lemon Street at the turn circle, and then back to the senior center. As I walk backwards up towards the Page One Cafe, it's over back that way, remaining directly in a line to me as I am walking up and down this pathway inside of this little plaza area in between the library, 280 North Lemon Apartments, senior center. All right, state's fake sun remaining all day long. In order to engage in that concentration of light, third-party group stalkers creating ongoing light activity as they are engaging in what is relevant positioning in and around the path, while the state is engaged in ongoing directed light. That's engineered light. That is not naturally occurring sunlight, and that is that which the state is engaged in, keeping placed around the target individual at all times. It's 2:10 p.m. right now. Just wanted to make sure I get all of that out. Royal Malik Wilcox engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. He was also monitoring for purposes of, you know, federal law. Okay, I was being monitored in the state of Nevada. All right, I was at Royal Malik Wilcox's house, or so he claimed it was his house. All right, I went to this house that he claimed was his. And it was in the state of Nevada, all right? I went to Vegas. Basically, I took a Vegas trip, and he was in the state of Nevada. I was being monitored in that state, all right? This is the actor coming to California. Understand that is interstate commerce right there, all right? That is P.O.C. That's in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. He is coming, crossing straight state line in order to engage in monitoring an American citizen with communication devices in concert with and on behalf of a government, all right? And the government is acting directly and vicariously. Royal Malik Wilcox, for at least engaged in at that time in Nevada, as I cross state lines, claiming to live in that state, as I'm at his house, claiming that it's his house. I am physically in another state, and I am subject to federal group stalking and monitoring in the state of Nevada in Las Vegas, all right? And as I go back to California, as I am on the mega bus driving from one state to another, I am being monitored on the bus. Understand that. This is that which has been in ceaseless operation for years. That is in direct violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 2261A. That mega bus is a means of transportation, all right, using the highways. It's a facility of interstate commerce, and they're monitoring with communication devices across state lines, all right, and intentionally doing so as a group, all right. It is the same behavioral pattern before I was aware of it. Understand that. This is that which has been ongoing for years, and he arrives in California, wherever he came from, whatever hole he dug himself out of. He is a minion, he is a maggot, and he's monitoring, and he is no friend of mine. This is documentation showing his presence and his malicious conduct, and engaging in that under the guise of being my friend. Not only are we expressly understood as not being friends, because I have made it very clear, he is, on his conduct, engaging in criminal activity that is to my detriment, and is also demonstrating that he is not my friend. It is 2:13 p.m. and that is P.O.C. This is documentation of third-party facilitating venue on the venue of the internet, YouTube. This is a third-party facilitating venue engaged in criminal obstruction of justice. As I publish what is the video documented on February 23rd at 5 p.m. and 61 seconds, so it is timestamped let me start that again. The timestamp is 2021-0223, and the time is 170061. This is published today. The video is 1 minute 42 seconds. It is literally about the state stalking with light. Ostensibly, what am I talking about? That which is in no way whatsoever subject to be restricted to viewers of 18 and over, which is set by YouTube. Understand this is moments after I've just uploaded this video. This is criminal obstruction of justice and no violation whatsoever of their policies. No age restriction also needed or necessary or even relevant whatsoever when you're literally capturing what is evidence against a government of speaking to the environment. On its surface, nothing that YouTube should be worried about whatsoever. This is P.O.C. And this is also that which is the entity acting via a third party. Understand, engaging in that conformity such that it in any way enables the targeting entity to engage in obstructing of the target individual's ability to upload or publish on the internet, which is necessary. Understand the court is not a means. We've gone through the P.O.C. This is intentional conduct. Understand, engaging in this sort of conduct is supposed to be what is a distraction. I have a limited hour because third-party facilitating venue Ontario OVITT Family Community Library limits my use, my ability to be present inside of the venue, and limits it only to computer use, even though they have third-party group stalkers that are engaging in browsing contrary to what they have published is allowed, and the reasons for which they have limited my ability to enter, and engaging in this sort of conduct with regard to limiting my video to an 18 and over audience who has to be logged in, which again is only a surfaced reason for creating any restriction whatsoever, which is not valid. That is an act of obstruction, and that is intentional conduct as well. Having me get on this, which is an invalid violation of the documentation published, in conformity to the P.O.C. YouTube is already engaged in, acting in concert with the state. That is helping the state. That's called criminal facilitation. Whatever your identity is, wherever your venue happens to be located, that is on the venue of the internet and in relevant position. Understand, YouTube is online. YouTube engaging in that which is frivolous, again, no right whatsoever under its own policies to limit my video to 18 and older, and that's what I'm looking at right now at 3:48 p.m. on YouTube while I'm uploading videos, and I am at the third-party facilitating venue of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. This is documentation of what is criminal obstruction of justice. That's P.O.C. All right, it is 4:47 p.m. and what I'm taking pictures of is what is called impossible light activity. This is directed light that the state is aiming inside into the depths of the bathroom, and it is even that which is appearing onto the wall inside of the bathroom while the bathroom door is closed. This is what is reflecting light as vibrant, impossible light activity, meaning this is directed light. This is the state's engineered light that it is aiming underneath the shaded structure facing the entrance of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, blaring inside of the doors of the entrance, and so bright that it is into the hallway. It is piercing through the glass. Understand the state is using engineered light, which is not sunlight. This is that same light that the state is molesting as third parties drive by. This is that same light that you saw with City of Ontario, while they're creating a whole bunch of noise and closing, slamming doors. What you have is the same engineered light on the sidewalk in the shade, her shadow appearing as she's walking toward the van. This is that engineered light. This is called directed light. In a private space such as a bathroom, while you are physically indisposed, that is the sexual violence, also communicating a threat while that is the state and third parties in relevant position inside and outside of this library are monitoring, all right? And that directed light is indication of that. That directed light is the unlawful and sexually perverted conduct in order to monitor you inside of that private space, maintaining real-time awareness of what you are doing as you are doing it. That is P.O.C. And this is that which I captured in pictures. This is the same venue, by the way. Let's recall, the state's fake sun documented, we could just compare where I was today, but this is the ongoing behavior pattern. Where I was today at 435 South BONVIEW, where the state's fake sun remains all day long. Understand, at this time, which is 4:49 p.m., the state is engaged in maintaining its light source over that property. My documentation already establishes that. Understand, from Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, which is northwest, looking on a map, understand the state's fake sun, which is remaining over the property, and aiming light inside of the property. So you're talking about demonstrating, engaging in conduct to suggest that that's the sun that's directing that light inside of the venue, which it is not. It's a fake sun. The state is keeping that light source present, and the state is also directing additional light sources inside. That's the directed light inside of the venue of 435 South BONVIEW. Understand, where the state's light source is at that position, whether over the property, even as it is engaging in this fake migration west, where it is not going anywhere, remaining light on the property and inside of the property at 435, you are not going to have this light activity inside of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library at this time, all right? I have maintained presence at both properties at both times. The state has engaged in maintaining this light activity where I am. Understand, it is mutually exclusive. You are not having this, which is going to occur where you have what is the sun that has to be so low, I guess, because how do you reconcile that you do not have a sun that's above a structure that's aiming light underneath that structure, that's bending moving horizontally. This is what the state was doing inside of West Valley. Also aiming light in through the windows that are on the wall, not on the ceiling. And yeah, but what you have is the state, what would be the light above a structure is going to be light all across the surfaces around that structure, but that structure creates shade as that light is beaming downward on that structure. What you have is the state engaging with the stalking, weaponization, invasion with light, but I also want to point out the fact that it is mutually exclusive. Engaging in this impossible light activity inside of the venue of 435 South Bonview, entirely in distinct different locations, this light activity is not going to occur at both at the same time. And that's my point. That's another tidbit of just comparison of what is stalking with light, the indication of what is federal group stalking and monitoring, the indication of what is ongoing sexual violence. It's perverted while they're monitoring you inside of a private space, and intentionally so. That's why you have what is impossible. And this is this light that is not occurring from the sun, this light source remaining both over both properties, which are entirely distinct from one another, maintaining that same position directly over me, even as I move at those properties, okay? That's P.O.C. And that's what I captured in pictures. It's called impossible light activity. This is that which is to be addressed under federal legislation for prosecuting a public entity and the people of that state monitoring with that public entity, acting vicariously on its behalf to maintain presence, for example, inside of 435 South Bonview, where I'm using the bathroom there, inside of the library here at 215 East C Street, where they're monitoring me here inside of the bathroom. Understand, my speech is audible activity. This impossible light activity is enhancing their ability to monitor. You've already seen in videos the state is stalking via police, fire, and ambulance, and by planes and helicopters that are currently flying over and around this venue right now. This is monitoring, okay? This is connecting all the dots, and this is showing how to prosecute. This is identifying the criminal tactics that the entity engages in. It is currently 4:53 p.m. And that is P.O.C. And I will go ahead and add some more legal analysis as to the third-party facilitating venue, YouTube, on the venue of the internet momentarily. 4:53 p.m. P.O.C. Okay, it's 5 p.m. on the dot. I just took a picture of what is the state engaged in that targeted conduct, flying over where I am now located, not over my head at 435 South Bonview, flying over the 280 North Lemon Apartments. And this is with simultaneity to my operation of my communication device. What I'm specifically doing on my communication device is formatting my podcast, which I am preparing to upload. This is monitoring. So what the state engages in, while its fake sun remains present, the state is aiming directed light, which again is not existing, where at this time I have been at the property and walking down the street, HOLT Boulevard, as the state is stalking with its light source that then moves from being remaining over the property and engaging in what is a ridiculous fail at remaining present all day long, while at the same time acting like it's negligibly moving across the property as it remains all day long westward. Okay, understand the library and 435 South Bonview are separated north and south. They're at a substantial distinction between their location, 435 South Bonview, south of the library. And not only that, it is east and then south. So what you have is the state's fake sun, which, as I've shown, the state engages in acting as though it's setting right here over Ontario Town Square, right here over what is 280 North Lemon Apartments. I showed you a picture of that yesterday. That is the video that YouTube is engaged in criminal obstruction of justice. That's very vital documentation against the government. YouTube engaging in repeating that conduct. I'll get on that in a second. Understand, they're engaging in this what is frivolous, baseless, and threatening conduct of restricting it. I don't care if you restrict it to monkeys only instead of all of the animals. They're placing a restriction that has no basis whatsoever, restricting it to 18-year-olds. There is no argument whereby they're saying, well, it really doesn't have an effect on their understand that it is targeting conduct. It's a means of harassment by a third party who is very much aware of what I am publishing on its website and engage in repeating this pattern of baseless and fruitless, hypocritical and unlawful removal and targeting of my documentation, which if you look at on the surface is just about the sun. It's about the sky, it's about the airplanes, it's about the people walking by. There is nothing whatsoever to be restricted. This is the same thing with the paperwork that was very, very pertinent criminal conduct of a government that's monitoring, posing a direct threat to my life while helicopters are flying over my head, YouTube engaging and restricting my content online. No third party is going to be able to do that to the target individual. That is a means of criminal facilitation, ferocious, okay, profuse federal prosecution for that very conduct. Understand it's intentional. While the state is here monitoring me in relevant position, the state is engaged in and benefiting from third parties like YouTube on the venue of the internet. This is relevant for purposes of what is monitoring. The state, YouTube, is acting pursuant to a public entity's pattern of conduct seeking to conceal the fact that it is engaged in monitoring. How? Restricting my videos is the reduction of the evidence that is already published serving that purpose. The court system is not a resort. The target individual has no other option. This is literally the creation of federal legislation that is very needed. This in no way this is actually that which is in direct compliance with what YouTube claims to be all about. This is acting through the people of the state, the companies, the institutions, all right? This is what it is. This is how government operates, by the way. YouTube can claim whatever it wants. Oh, I'm totally separate. I don't know anything about monitoring. Guess what? You engage in that pattern of conduct that in any way facilitates that public entity's monitoring of an American citizen, you are subject to federal prosecution, period. And not only that, it's in violation of their own rules published on that internet website, okay? There's nothing violative, whatever. And guess what? They repeated it. I uploaded the video again because it is not in violation. And this is just to be clear about what YouTube is engaged in. Understand, just like the state does engaging in continuous stalking with the fake son, which I don't think the state is trying to establish that that's a son anymore. The state is literally just desperate and has no other option. It's just continuing monitoring, and everything that it has done has been bare bones stripped as the pathetic criminal system that it is, engaged in by what are psychopaths, okay? And understand that my point in stating that the state engages in repeating the same conduct that is, as I am stripping it down to its elements as it relates to the P.O.C. What you are looking at is the fact that it is repeated is in no way suggesting that it is anything other than the P.O.C. You're talking about what is monitoring, you're talking about what are psychopaths, you're talking about what are third parties who are assigned a role. This is supposed to be that which is the imagination of the target individual. This is supposed to be that which is contrived out of some vast hallucination, someone who's supposed to be crazy. This is P.O.C. and that does not work, okay? That does not work when you document. It does not work when you are breaking down and in a common sense manner what is occurring all around you, and also where you are documenting the criminal activity of that same entity that wants to label you as crazy. And they're doing so through criminal conduct, all right? The reason why is because it is criminal obstruction of justice. Engaging in repeatedly restricting my videos, which are in no way whatsoever, it is absolutely ridiculous, which are in no way whatsoever in need of restricting them to people who are 18 and over and logged in. And understand that is only the claim of the audience that YouTube claims to restrict it to. That's just the claim, in no way reliable whatsoever. Secondly, it is also that which is in direct conflict with what they have published in their policies, because this is that which is on a platform, on my channel, clearly established and communicated as one that is devoted to publishing what is evidence against the government, engaging in what is an unprecedented level of criminally threatening conduct, which is monitoring. I'm stating my name. I'm stating the fact that I'm being monitored by the government. I'm stating the fact that I intend to create federal legislation and to prosecute and to expose that which is a very serious matter. Understand YouTube is in direct conformity to the pattern of conduct. They can claim whatever they want. Not only is it in conformity to P.O.C., it is in direct violation of their own published policies, okay? And even, let me be clear here, even where what you have is, say you have a scenario where the target individual is publishing that which somehow the a third part, but you're not. Actually, I'm sorry, that does not exist, because when you are establishing a platform stating its purpose, which is lawful, which is serving that which is to expose criminal conduct by a government where you have no other resort, that is directly in conformity to what YouTube claims to be about. I was about to come up with a hypothetical whereby a target individual publishes something that is in violation in some way or manner, so like say some sort of nudity or but understand YouTube has porn on its site. But again, they would target that targeted individual in order to engage in criminal obstruction. But YouTube has porn on its site, pornography. Okay, so this is. But let's say that understand whatever nudity is present, it is about that some sort of violation that the target individual is suffering. So that, based on its content and its purpose, and that which is clearly demonstrated, and this is how you, the target individual, will be exposing the government and prosecuting it. And this is, we are looking at all the ways. Understand City of Ontario, understand Mercy House, understand Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, monitoring. What is the guise under which, whatever it is, whatever trade they do, whatever it is they claim to be engaged in on the outward form where the elements are underway. And this is how you are not only prosecuting them for monitoring and criminally facilitating a public entity's ability to monitor and the people of the state's ability to monitor, you are also going to expose and prosecute that company, that brand, that institution, the uniform, the guise under which they are monitoring you. And that is called malice, all right? That's a malicious system underway, operated and designed by the government itself that's monitoring American citizens. YouTube, engaging in YouTube, and understand what YouTube is engaged in is merely a template of what the online venue of the internet. This is what they are engaged in, okay? This is an example of what the pattern of conduct looks like. You can fill in the blank with the specific actor, okay? YouTube represents the people of the state of California, let's be clear, all right? And this is going toward the people of the state engaged in that same identical behavioral pattern, and that is the hypothetical that I just mentioned is something that would not be grounds, and this is to be, as a matter of federal law, that is something, that nudity that is present online on that targeted individual's page is relevant to criminal conduct and more than likely subject to some sort of violation of their privacy or something weird that has to do with a public entity. Okay, I'm just giving an example of, you want to name something that's a violation. Okay, name nudity. Understand, under the context of documenting a public entity that is monitoring an American citizen, this supersedes any irrelevant claim of a third-party venue on the venue of the internet, which is the sole means of publishing unprecedented criminal conduct posing a direct threat to the life and physical safety and overall well-being of an American citizen. YouTube and no other venue on the internet will, under any circumstances, have any grounds under federal law to restrict that content. It is evidence against the government, all right? Understand the government capitalizes off of third parties such as YouTube engaging and finding some sort of reason to restrict such content. It serves a vital purpose. It serves a relevant purpose. And guess what? Even under YouTube's own policies, it states that they're supposed to be examining not only the content on its face, but the content in its substance. What's its purpose? Why? Okay, so it's not just about on its face what it's looking like. And so I am merely parroting back to you what YouTube claims that it is about. And understand, the public entity is not an individual, like I said. The public entity is a template, all right? It is that which is, I don't want to say a template. I want to say, like, the public entity, think about a cookie cutter, a gingerbread man in the form of a cookie cutter, all right? That is the public entity. The public entity cannot do anything without filling in that cookie cutter with all the people, the companies, the institutions that give it shape, give it form, give it a voice, give it action, acting on its behalf, vicariously on its behalf, and engaging in that criminal conduct where it is criminal conduct, and this is monitoring. Then understand the nature of the crime of monitoring. This is inherent to that public entity's operation, all right, acting in concert with it. All right. So the police officers that are monitoring you are not sleeping in the house with you while you're being monitored 24 hours a day. They're acting vicariously through whoever it is you live with, your boyfriend, your cousin, your siblings, your parents, or some uncle, who, your college roommates, your some roommate that you met off of Craigslist. The public entity is monitoring through the people. The public entity is speaking through the people. The public entity is acting through the people, and the people includes any company and or institution engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct that has that same result of facilitating that criminal system, which poses a threat to the life of the American citizen that's being monitored. A threat to their physical safety and overall well-being, all right? That's what this is about. And YouTube unmistakably engaging in restricting the video that I uploaded a second time Okay, and this is directly relevant to what I am publishing with regard to the people of the state, and YouTube providing an excellent example of how the people of the state engage in on the venue of the internet to be addressed at federal prosecution. Okay, YouTube not acting alone, engaging in ongoing targeting conduct. Not only is that criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, okay, it is also criminal targeting. That's harassment. You're targeting, and for no reason. It's totally hypocritical under what you claim to be about and what you claim how you engage in restricting videos. You can go ahead and pick through all you want. There is nothing about the sun. There's nothing about the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the sidewalk, my hand in the video that is in any way necessary or in need of restricting it to 18-year-olds. And this is the same with YouTube's criminal act when I published the paperwork about my being kidnapped by the state that is monitoring, that same day flying over my head in helicopters, and all I did was upload papers, literally papers, of what is criminal activity by the public entity that's monitoring, posing a direct threat to my life, all right? More than one occurrence is a pattern. YouTube documented on more than one occurrence, more than those two. And I am speaking to fictitious prosecution MWV 2000640, having no right whatsoever in that regard, having no right whatsoever in this regard. I don't care if it's on YouTube's website. You shall also, in addition to that, these online venues, they shall be met with mandates, obligations, okay? Not only are you on the venue of the internet fully aware of what I'm publishing because you're sitting, picking and choosing what you want to restrict about my documentation that you're clearly privy to, you're literally picking on it for no reason, in violation of your own published policies, okay? You're a criminal and you're a hypocrite. You're disgusting to me, and I'm going to prosecute you. I'm going to make an example out of you. But in addition to that, this is showing awareness, and understand the online venue engaged in awareness of what is that where the target individual is publishing this information. It shall not be that which is a means of additional acts of criminal obstruction of justice. So third parties are not going to be able to just get online and start engaging in criminal defamation, engaging in criminal harassment, targeting the content that is demonstrating the criminal activity of the government. You shall be met with a mandate, an obligation, and not to engage in the criminal acts that they're engaged in, but an obligation to have a hand in what is the exposure of that, as opposed to being on the side of the crime, on the side of the corrupt government, which YouTube is. All right, representing the same companies that are flying over my head in their planes. That's the state, all right, acting vicariously. The same vehicles that are engaging in monitoring and engaging in group stalking and threatening me every single day. I'm not talking about the people of the state in their private vehicles. I'm talking about the ones acting through their trade, through their commercial business, whatever it is that they're doing. That's the guys under which that is the people of the state of California. This is what YouTube is in conformity to, all right? And it's called criminal obstruction of justice, and that is a means of criminal facilitation. This is to be that which is creating an obligation on that venue of the internet. So you want to engage in criminal harassment, and yet you are in no way helping this American citizen that is publishing documentation of what is an unprecedented level of criminal conduct. This is speaking to awareness. You're aware and you're criminally harassing. You're aware and you're criminally targeting. You're aware and you are adding to that threat. This is shared by Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr. This is the venue of the internet. Reddit, engaging in criminal defamation, all right? Seeking to oppress and inflict suffering, additional suffering, rather than seeking to, and that is helping the corrupt government. That's facilitating that P.O.C. rather than helping that American citizen, exposing that criminal conduct, whether you know it to be true or not. Guess what? You don't know it to be true or not, but yet you're engaging in defaming that targeted individual. Okay, allegedly. But what you are doing is not allegedly defamatory. It is defamatory, and you are helping that government that is engaged in that criminal system. They're going to be prosecuted for that period. All right, they shall be made an example of that. This is all the ways in which that entity speaks, acts, and maintains presence and engages in criminal obstruction of justice. All right, that's relevant to YouTube. 5:16 p.m. I did submit an appeal. That is just a matter of documentation, and in that appeal, it is published in the share drive. That is part of the ongoing documentation of P.O.C. showing how the people act, the guises under which they act, and this is on the venue of the internet. This is that which is to be addressed by federal law, which I have designed and I advance, I advocate. SIIS, federal legislation, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. The P.O.C. is indeed the systematic infliction of inhumane suffering by a public entity acting directly and vicariously to monitor and to obstruct that American citizen who is being monitored, obstruct their ability to even expose and prosecute that public entity. All right, that is built into the pattern of conduct, and YouTube, whether they realize it or not, but believe me, they do. They're fully aware. YouTube is fully aware of the documentation. This is in no way that which is happening in a vacuum. This is P.O.C. and engaging and repeating that which is absolutely ridiculous conduct on the part of YouTube's part is in no way suggesting that they're ignorant. What I am doing is being fully monitored. What I am doing is that which is revolutionary, to be honest with you, and understand the group stalkers, the state. They're all on the edge of their seats, and they're all watching to see what's going to happen. I have told them what's going to happen. I've told them step by step what's going to happen. They do not know how it's going to happen. They're monitoring like the thirsty minions and parasites that they are, but prosecution is inevitable. This is prosecuting every single act that public entity squeezes its way into. YouTube and no other venue online shall in any way act on behalf of the government, which is what YouTube did today, which is what YouTube has done before, which is what the other venues online where I have published my documentation, which is serving a vital purpose, serving the good and the public, all right, have engaged in, all right. It's 5:18 p.m. And that is P.O.C. Let me clarify one other thing. Engaging in criminal obstruction of justice, any method of criminal obstruction of justice, is within the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. That is, engaging in the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring is only engaged in by what are group stalkers. Being a group stalker is a very serious, violent, and ongoing sexual offense, violating an American citizen. Understand the brand of YouTube and Google, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit, all engaged in that, all right? You are in any way engaging in that pattern of conduct, operated by a public entity. That's literally tainting your whole name, your identity, your brand, your reputation. And those are the federal repercussions of in any way, facilitating that corrupt entity's ability to monitor and understand you are engaging in facilitating that ability to monitor when you're engaging in any act of criminal obstruction of justice. That's how the entity has designed the system. This is why you have kidnapping. This is why you have theft of property. This is why you have what is malicious and fictitious prosecutions. This is why you have criminal defamation, throwing someone into a mental ward when you don't even have a case. When you never even had the right to arrest in the first place, because there was never any. It's criminal conduct from beginning to end, and so understand that is exactly what YouTube is engaged in. YouTube shall be prosecuted as such. YouTube shall be identified as such. And that is for every other guise under which the people of the state are acting. The public entity monitors via the people. The people monitor as one single group, and they do so maliciously under any guise you want to apply the cookie cutter. Okay? And that's the cookie cutter is the entity, and the people are filling in that cookie cutter. All right, that is how the entity operates. The entity is not an individual; it is an organization. It is an entity, directly opposed to a person. All right. So who is the mouthpiece of that government? The people of the state, engaged in that criminal conduct with it. They can claim ignorance all they want. P.O.C. is P.O.C. There is no coincidence whatsoever. And there is the absence of coincidence where the public entity is monitoring, and that has already been established. It is P.O.C. It's 5:21 p.m., and I will go ahead and stop there. All right, it is, as I stated in my video, 7:17 p.m. at that moment. What you have is the third-party group stalkers that are surrounding in the path. Understand, sitting at that traffic light is a means of aiming headlights in the direction. That's intentional placement in and around the path. The third-party group stalker whose license plate I captured engaged in ongoing. Go ahead. This is an African-American male engaging in crossing in path, light activity through his headlights, arriving at the driveway as I'm there. That's the intentional presence. 8 UXB 638. That's an African-American male wearing a baseball cap as I'm walking what is south on Lemon right now, approaching Holt Boulevard. Group stalkers on that opposite side of that same street, aiming headlights in that manner. Omnitrans positioned at its bus stop, monitoring, aiming lights, which would be west toward Holt Boulevard, west on Holt Boulevard. Amplified audible activity from the bus. Literally, while I am taking that video, as I stop the video, you hear the Omnitrans bus brakes. Understand that is super amplification of audible activity. That's called impossible audible activity. This is what the state does, literally making everything hyperbolic in its impact for purposes of massive monitoring, right? With the same directed light conduct, the same amplification of audible activity for purposes of monitoring. And that is that which Omnitrans frequently and systematically contributes to the monitoring system. This is ongoing molestation of light, as I've already shown, the state engages in via third parties, the people of the state. And group stalking, that is cooperative maintenance of presence in and around the path as you're in motion, while the state and third parties are aiming headlights, engaged in what is patrolling around with their headlights, and the state is directing light, that which is not occurring naturally. That is that which is surrounding on all the surfaces. And this is why, as I walk past under the third party headlights, I have multiple shadows. Right, that's impossible light activity. As I'm walking past your car, I'm not going to have multiple shadows appearing, but that's because the state and the third party are engaged in concerted conduct. That is group molestation of the person. That's sexual assault and battery, sexual group assault and battery. And that is P.O.C. That's ordinary, regular, routine conduct. The unlawful touching and in this manner. That's like the state. That is a stalker that is monitoring you and touching all over you and saying, haha, no hands. That is unlawful touching by an incredibly threatening stalker, literally the people of the state, engaged in stalking you to maintain light on you. That's demented group conduct, and it is also an ongoing violation, routine violation of the person. All right, it's an absence of regard of the rights of that targeted individual. And this is routine as you're crossing the street, just like now. This is P.O.C. So the people of the state representing who are molesting right now, as I cross the crosswalk at Euclid and HOLT, 4MHJ 936, 6JIY 965. And that looks like a Latino male with facial hair. He's in a dark gray Nissan. Right behind him, 8MMX 864. His license plate is not in the front of his car. While I walk past their vehicles, they're molesting with light. This is group stalking. Every means of touching is for purposes of monitoring. You will not going to sit at a traffic light in any way avoid federal prosecution. This is the prosecution of that entire entity and every systematic means of by which they are molesting the person, touching the person. And that is 7YGC 749. I've crossed the street. I'm not underneath their headlights, but what I'm speaking to is the ongoing concerted conduct. So that is documentation of another third party individually of the same united group. Understand they are both engaged in that molesting together. That's how you prosecute. Everyone that's already been individually identified engaged in that same sexual violence. The public entity itself is engaged in an ongoing and criminal facilitation of an ongoing sexually violent monitoring system. That is the state of California is a sex offender, an exceedingly violent sex offender, and engaged in criminal facilitation of that same violence. And so that third party who I'm walking past their car, they are not specifically molesting with their headlights, but they are acting with the third party whose car I happen to pass, who is acting in concert with the government that's directing light onto me as well at the same time, who are all maintaining relevant position together in and around my path for purposes of monitoring, which they are all doing via communication devices. That is the sexual violence perpetrated by all of them, regardless of where their car is physically located. It's in relevant position. It's in relevant position. You have one that's touching, you have another one that's in relevant position, monitoring with that touching conduct, monitoring to that, and all out of audible activity created. They're all monitoring together. They're all molesting together. Okay, so that's just a legal analysis, a breakdown of the prosecution of the state. And that is also video that I'm publishing showing the ongoing targeting conduct, as I've already shown, as to the state, prefacing what every third party is engaged in. Every single last one of them. As targeted as the state is with its stalking conduct in all forms, that is what the people of the state of California are engaged in as well. And that is the stripping down of what is another guise of monitoring conduct, and that is the sexual violent aspect. That is referred to as sexual group assault and battery. That is a routine, systematic, unlawful touching, and this is occurring day and night. All right, with the state's directed light, that engineered light that's appearing all over the services, that City of Ontario was present while that impulsible light activity is occurring. That's not a coincidence, that's P.O.C. And that's the people of the state acting in concert with that public entity. And understand City of Ontario, hand in hand with every other third party who's in their individual cars, and I'm naming their license plates, part of the same unified group. That is the people of the state vicariously acting on behalf and in concert with that public entity that is ceaselessly stalking via aircraft, police, fire, and ambulance, and altogether molesting with light for that purpose so that all of them can continuously monitor as I am in motion on foot. This is that which is occurring also while you're in any mode of transportation, on the bus, on a train, in a car, your car or some third party's car. All right, and so I want to speak to with regard to my being transported by a third party today in the company of a third party who I do not associate with. He is a third party group stalker whose name I know, Royal Malik Wilcox. Let me be clear, monitoring the entire time at 435 South Bonview and while I am in the vehicle of Tracy Banks, license plate 4WON432. The state directing light inside of that vehicle. He's sitting in the back seat in relevant position. Of course, the driver, Tracy Banks, is in relevant position, monitoring systematically, acting in concert with the people of the state of California who are surrounding in traffic, and while the state is always engaged in stalking and monitoring with that directed light. How are you deducing that? Because you have that which is not naturally occurring ever under any circumstances. This is literally like flashing of light, as I've described, like you're in the midst of some photography shoot, and you're not. This is directed light inside of the vehicle while I'm being systematically monitored. It's the same behavioral pattern occurring inside of a mode of transportation. Royal Malik Wilcox monitoring me inside of that vehicle. Belonging to Tracy Banks, Royal Malik Wilcox engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. I just want to be clear on that. It's 7:26 p.m. That's P.O.C.